Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Boy oh boy how the mighty have fallen this year. This is certainly a video I never thought I'd have to make, and it's also one I postponed and tried to avoid making for a while too. But alas, after everything has come out, I can no longer stay silent on this. The once great and mighty YouTube maker iDubbbzTV has finally fallen from grace. He recently made a very poorly received video trying to defend himself and his girlfriend slash fiance, and needless to say, the guy has started to really break down. Before we get to that now infamous video though, there's a good amount of backstory to go over here, so make yourself some popcorn and grab a seat because this is going to be a long and rather bumpy ride. To put things briefly though, before we flash back too far, basically iDubbbz, or Ian, he started getting heat when people realized his girlfriend was selling scandalous pictures of herself online. Not the worst thing in the world, sure, but considering who iDubbbz is and how much money he has in the bank, it's certainly very questionable. Then when Ian made his lame video defending himself, which was obviously part of his coping with things, well, that's when everyone started to take notice real hard. And while I personally try and stay out of most YouTube drama, this is a story that concerns me for a couple of important reasons. First of all, I was a big fan of iDubbbz and his older content, and this video I'm making is nothing against the guy personally, but I do have to call things like I see him, and he would do the same if he were in my position. And quite frankly, we were all fans of iDubbbz here on YouTube. He made some of the best teardown style content on this whole website. And then the second big reason I wanted to cover this story was the left-leaning social justice warrior inspired pro-degeneracy influences. In light of Ian's girlfriend turning to sell lewd pictures of herself online, iDubbbz and many of his supporters, they've turned to defending this sick behavior, which goes against many of our conservative values, of course. All of this will be discussed today and more, so without further ado, let's just jump right into it. First things first, let's explain who iDubbbzTV even is, so those of you out of the know can keep up with this dramatic roller coaster-like story, because it will be interesting whether you know or not. Basically, as stated earlier, a few years back, iDubbbz became known as the biggest teardown guy on the internet. His series called Content Cop, it spawned some of the most entertaining and popular videos on this whole website. Ian picked great, deserving targets to go after too, taking down the likes of Tana Mongoose, Rice Gum, Leafy is Here, and Jinx, all other YouTubers who certainly had flaws in their content to varying degrees. Content Cop started all the way back in 2015, and it grew exponentially in popularity until around 2017 when iDubbbz appeared to abandon the series, instead opting to now make blogs and squirrel videos and unboxing stuff since then, which is far less interesting content. But while abandoning Content Cop is heavily disappointing, it's also hardly a crime. Many might say Ian wanted to go out on top here, and others argue the changing rules on YouTube made iDubbbz have to be more careful with what videos he makes and what he says. Either way, Content Cop is basically dead, with no signs of returning, but iDubbbz certainly made a name for himself, and in addition, he made himself millions of dollars off it too. That last part might not seem too important, but it is worth noting how rich Ian is, especially considering where this story goes. But first, we need to explain the next main character in this tale, iDubbbz's new girlfriend named Anissa. She's been around the block a few times online, known for her trying to cozy up to bigger creators before too. In fact, Anissa was dating someone else when she first met iDubbbz, and as the story goes, she met Ian for one day and then decided to dump her previous boyfriend right away and trade up to the more popular iDubbbz. Really makes you think then, what kind of loser was she with before Ian? Because although iDubbbz is obviously smart, well-spoken, and a good video maker who's now rich, but he's also this super nerdy, not so good looking, kind of weird, skinny kind of guy, who's kind of ironically cool now because he was such a nerd and not attractive before, and he wore dumb stuff all the time. Regardless, Anissa latched on to iDubbbz a few years back, and they've been together ever since. And now, apparently after some time, they not only got engaged to be married, but also Ian got his new bride-to-be a very special gift, the surgical enlargement of her chest. That's right, iDubbbz bought his girl boobs recently, and the medical journey Anissa has been going through, she's been sharing it online for the past few months. She even created a new social media account to cover it, showing revealing pictures of her new assets and everything. And this revelation to the public a few months ago is what first alerted us something was up with them. And sure enough, the situation led to a place that many had suspected. Anissa started selling photos of herself in scandalous positions online. OnlyFans is a newer website where girls looking for attention or money can post sexy pictures of themselves, usually nude or partially naked, and some sometimes they even post full-blown sex tapes. And there you can sell them to your fans and wannabe pay pigs all you want. Anissa inevitably started selling herself on OnlyFans rather quickly, before the scars from her breast surgery even had a chance to heal, and this became problematic for a number of reasons. First of all, Anissa herself had mocked and said she would never sell herself like this before. Then about a year later, and she couldn't resist, I guess. But next is the worst part though, because I think we all know this isn't really being done for the money. Not only did Anissa have a somewhat reasonable career online before this, but also she's about to marry a multi-millionaire. And even this Google search is what I would consider a low estimate from the internet, saying iDubbbz is worth $1.5 million. But knowing what I know about this site, I'm willing to bet he's worth at least double that. So even if we are being less generous, Ian has about $2 million in the bank, which really makes you wonder, would you let your girlfriend sell her body online to random strangers if you had that kind of money in the bank, enough money to support you two for the rest of your lives? Because I know I wouldn't. And that brings us to the worser point here. Anissa isn't doing this OnlyFans lewd selling picture thing for money. She's doing it for attention, to stroke her ego, or even worse, she could be doing it to antagonize and emasculate Ian purposely, because that's happening either way, even if it is unintentional, which I doubt. Now, with all that said, I think we're finally caught up here. So next, let's jump into the cringy video response iDubbbz made, which comes off as him not only being in stark denial about things, but also he sounds like he's coping like a madman. Check this one out.
This is a very special episode where I get to tackle two topics that I've recently become very passionate about. That is a section of my audience who thinks they know me, and my opinion on sex work. You can sort of see where these two will collide.
I would hardly consider posting lewd selfies in cosplay as sex work, but I have to admit, this is an intriguing start. The other thing I notice here is, yeah, internet fans do act like they know their favorite creators sometimes. But in this case, it is pretty apparent Ian is not being congruent with who he was before. Pre-girlfriend iDubbbz would have made a content cop about this new lady-whipped incarnation of himself. And that's really the biggest problem people have with this story. iDubbbz has changed. He used to be the greatest and a pretty principled and accurate guy, but now he's got a girl leading him around like a simp, like your average beta soy boy, which is just hard to watch. Yes, this is classic liberal soy boy beta-like behavior, and it would be considered pretty common for most nerdy California boys like Ian too. But we all thought iDubbbz was a different one. We thought he was badass and cool, and when he was on top of his game, again, he would have made fun of what he's become now.
My girlfriend started an OnlyFans account, which is a website where you can upload amateur anything from double all the way over to lewd cosplay and everything in between. And I think all of it is cool. Yeah.
Wow, that's gotta be one of the most smug reaction faces I've ever seen in my life. The way he says, I think it's cool, and then turns his head? Oof, that's pure and raw cringe right there. In addition, it's hard to ignore the appearances of things in this video anymore. Not only is iDubbbz rocking a 70s mustache and a bald head and beanie, trying to be ironic again or something, but also, as always, his desk and computer setup is sloppy as hell. There's trash and food and cups and stuff all over the place. And I wouldn't normally need to point this out, but since Ian is acting like a giant man baby right now, it is important to note there is other visual support for that. The other thing I notice here is iDubbbz says he's cool with his girl selling herself online, but that's kind of a cop-out if you think about it, pun intended. Being cool with something almost just sounds like you're putting up with it. You're allowing it to happen, but the more important question and point, and the thing we should be talking about is, do you want this to happen, Ian? Are you happy your life has taken this turn? Would your parents be proud, and do you think your future kids are going to respect you after seeing videos and lewd pictures of your wife like this? Because I doubt this is what a younger iDubbbz dreamed for himself when he was a kid. And I also highly doubt people hope to grow up one day and have a risque girlfriend who sells herself online like this. You guys already have a dream life too. You're a millionaire YouTuber who makes videos about whatever he wants. So there's really no need to do this sexy, degenerate stuff. And what you want and hope for yourself in your life, and what your family, friends, children, and other people think of you, that's far more important and telling than you saying, I'm just cool with something, which sounds like you've just simply accepted it, even though maybe deep down you know it's wrong and completely unnecessary. And truly, your girlfriend is just playing you like a simp.
Like, if you don't want to look up to me anymore, that's fine. I don't want you to look up to me. First up, we got Edward. he probably got told by a lot of people that he looks like iDubbbz.
So here is where things take another interesting turn. First, we can see iDubbbz dressed up to look like this younger fan, a fan he's about to expose and bash publicly in front of his many millions of followers. Sound familiar? Well, if you're privy to Ian's previous content, this was a big gripe he had with Leafy in the Content Cop video he made about him. Leafy admittedly goofed on a lot of younger kids in his videos, and this is pretty messed up for obvious reasons, but now iDubbbz appears to have thrown out his own morals and convictions. I guess since this time the younger kid is making fun of him now. In addition, I'm not buying this whole "if you don't want to look up to me, that's cool" thing. Not because I think Ian wants people to look up to him specifically, but he's certainly passed judgment on people in the past, and he's taken the high road and talked down to his opponents during his entire career. So for him to say "don't look up or listen to me anymore," it sounds like a cop-out. And also, and perhaps worse for him, it shows that Ian no longer has the high ground here. He can't pretend to be superior to anyone anymore since his girlfriend has turned him into a simp. So now Ian is trying to pretend he never high-roaded anyone before, even though he clearly did.
Do you think it was cool when I was running around in an oversized cop outfit? That was cool to you. It's because he's a hypocrite. He makes content cop and targets people, but he himself have girlfriend and he does nothing about it. What am I gonna do? Do you think I should just take a shotgun to her head?
No, dude. You just tell her not to post nudes. It's really that simple. Say, "Hey girl, we don't need the money. Don't embarrass us with this nonsense. Let's go ahead and find you something else to do with your time." There's literally a million other things she could be doing online right now. But for some reason, she has to pick the one thing that's going to ruin her and her boyfriend's successful career. Come on. And there's really no reason for iDubbbz to go to this extreme example that he gives. No one is suggesting you kill your girlfriend, dude. We're all just saying, hey, listen, this goes against what you previously were. You have plenty of money too, so there's no need for this at all. And then going through with it shows that you're weak and you've succumbed to an evil, manipulative woman who's trying to take you down her very degenerate path. And in addition to going to an extreme for no reason, iDubbbz also cherry picks some of the worst comments to argue against, almost like he's straw manning his opposition, which shows how awful and uncomfortable he is in this position. Ian is used to being on the offensive, so this defensive stance he's trying to play now, well, he's clearly not too good at it.
I don't know why everyone thinks that I made a stand. I stood on top of a hill and I proclaimed to all my loyal Christian followers, no woman that I date shall ever lower her standards to the point of being half naked.
Well, here's the thing, iDubbbz, and I don't think many will say this outright, but you should be saying something like this in this video unironically. I know you're making this bit into a sarcastic, almost anti-religious, anti-conservative thing, but I really don't see the issue with saying you're against nudes and degeneracy. Particularly, you should be against sharing lewd photography of the one you love. That should be sacred and special and only for you. And that should really be a position all of us have, because doing otherwise is pretty ridiculous and off-putting. Anyone who wants to share their partner's naked body with strangers should probably have their head checked, if you ask me. Or maybe they just have some kind of kink or fetish or something, and that can be okay too in small doses. There's nothing wrong with those people, but we all shouldn't be doing this. And what iDubbbz is doing, him saying, hey, we should all sell our partner's most intimate photos on the internet, well, that's some perverse way to show they're cool with degeneracy. And the other thing worth noting here in this section is the slight backpedal iDubbbz made when he said half naked. This comes off as a joke, but it's actually more telling than you might think. Basically, Ian is pointing out that his girlfriend Anissa isn't actually selling full nudes. He kind of alluded to this in the beginning too when he pointed out the range of content on the OnlyFans website. That was a setup to show you that, yeah, that website has full nudes too, but it also has people just selling sexy pictures without any nudity. And then now, iDubbbz says half naked, kind of trying to begin to play down how bad his girl's actual pictures are. But doing this also kind of admits that this selling of your body is bad, since Ian felt the need to qualify his girl's pictures and how they weren't showing everything. So basically he's saying there are worse degrees of this, thus admitting his girl is actually doing something inappropriate too, albeit to a lesser degree.
Let me have my hope, all right? I want to believe he's too intelligent for this. Intelligence has nothing to do with it, but I will say this. If you want to retain hope that I'm intelligent, this is the most intelligent thing I've probably ever done, is is revealing this side of me.
The most intelligent thing you've ever done is shack up with an attention seeker who's so bad she got implants and immediately turned to selling pictures of them online? That's pretty rich, dude. Damn, this is some levels of denial I never thought I'd see from you. Ouch. What the heck is wrong with this guy now? Not only was this video not necessary, ignoring this drama would have been far better for him, but also, doesn't Ian realize he could get lots of other more sane and also much cooler and hotter girlfriends as well? I mean, Anissa isn't exactly ugly, but also, she's just like a 5 out of 10 at best. And she's also Canadian. Yuck. And even with this new plastic surgery, this girl is about as interesting as a soggy piece of bread. This makes me think of a few things, namely, iDubbbz probably never had a serious girlfriend before this, and he may have never slept with many hot chicks. So once he finds the first girl who will sleep with him on a regular basis, and then he completely falls apart trying to keep her around. Then he turns into this weak beta boy she has wrapped around her finger. Will this be the end of iDubbbz's career? Well, of course not, but he certainly lost his former flawless record. And also, as stated earlier, all of that high road holier than thou shit he used to spout before, well, it's completely thrown out the window. So I doubt he'll ever be able to make a content cop seriously again, at least not on the same level. And this truly saddens me because, like I said at the beginning, I didn't want to make this video. I really liked the guy before, and it sucks to see him go down this road. And I truly hope he takes some people's advice and starts to wisen up. What do you guys think? Is iDubbbz breaking down? Would you let your partner sell their lewd pictures online even if you had millions of dollars in the bank? And is this a form of left-wing pro-degenerate behavior and propaganda? Because I know I see it that way, and I think we all know a conservative-minded fellow like myself would never go down this road. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button to help support this channel, and we'll see y'all next time.